The most dangerous lie we tell ourselves, my dear, is that any company is better than none. But let me tell you a hard truth. The coldest place on earth is right beside someone who has stopped keeping you warm. Stop begging for a seat at a table where you aren't even respected. Welcome back to my porch, my sweet child. Come up the steps, take a load off, and sit here with me in the rocking chair for a little while. I've been watching the autumn leaves fall this morning, watching how gracefully the trees let go of what is dead, and it got me thinking about the seasons of our lives. Let me pour you a cup of tea. Just sit back and catch your breath. You know, I look at your generation and I see so many beautiful, tired souls carrying a weight they were never meant to carry. You are holding on to things that are already gone. I see you scrolling through your phones, looking for answers, staying up late with a heavy heart. You are so afraid of the quiet. You are so afraid of an empty house, an empty chair at the dining table, a silent telephone on a Friday night. But what you don't realize yet, simply because you haven't lived quite long enough to feel the true weight of it, is that there is a quiet much more deafening than being by yourself. It is the agonizing silence of being unseen by the person sitting right next to you. You see, the loneliness of staying where you aren't loved is an anchor that will drag you straight to the bottom of the ocean. We are taught from a young age that being alone is a failure, that it means nobody wanted us. But that is a lie, my dear. Being alone is a sanctuary compared to the prison of being with someone who makes you feel completely invisible. Let me tell you a story about my dear friend, Eleanor. This was back in the late 1960s, a time when people stayed together no matter how miserable they were behind closed doors. Eleanor was a vibrant, beautiful woman. She was the kind of woman who walked into a room and brought the sunshine right in with her. She had a laugh that could make the saddest person crack a smile. She married a man named Thomas, and at first it was all Sunday drives, sweet handwritten letters, and promises of a beautiful forever. But as the years wore on, Thomas started to pull away. He didn't leave her, no. That would have been too honest and perhaps too kind. Instead, he stayed, but he built a fortress of ice around himself. Eleanor would spend hours cooking his favorite meals, setting the table perfectly, and he would eat them while staring at the newspaper, not saying a single word. She would buy a new dress, style her hair, hoping he would look at her the way he used to, but his eyes would pass right over her like she was a ghost haunting her own home. I remember visiting her one rainy Tuesday afternoon. I knocked on the screen door and walked in to find her standing by the kitchen sink, weeping quietly into a dish towel. She looked at me, her eyes heavy with a profound, soul-crushing exhaustion, and she said something I have never forgotten. She said, "I am entirely alone in this marriage, but I am too afraid to leave." She was terrified of what people would say. Back then, a divorced woman carried a heavy stigma. She truly believed that being a lonely, neglected wife was somehow better and more respectable than being a solitary, independent woman. But watching her stay was like watching a magnificent flower wither away in a dark cellar. She shrunk herself to fit into the tiny, miserable spaces of his indifference. She lost her beautiful laugh. She lost her vibrant light. She stopped singing in the kitchen. She traded her very soul for the illusion of companionship, and it cost her decades of joy. It wasn't until Thomas passed away many years later that I saw Eleanor finally take a deep breath. In her twilight years living completely alone in that big house, she told me she had never felt more at peace. The heavy loneliness was gone, replaced by a gentle, comforting solitude. My dear, please listen closely to an old woman who has seen far too many seasons change to lie to you. The worst, most destructive kind of loneliness does not come from being physically alone on a Saturday night. It comes from being in a room with someone who makes you feel like you do not exist. When you stay in a place where your heart is not cherished, your spirit begins to starve. You start begging for scraps of affection. You start convincing yourself that bare minimum decency is somehow a great act of love. Let me tell you right now, it is not. Love is not a chore. Love is not an inconvenience. Love does not make you feel like you are a burden for simply having needs. If you are constantly shrinking yourself to make someone else comfortable, if you are walking on eggshells swallowing your words because you know they won't be heard anyway, you are already alone. But it is a toxic, suffocating kind of loneliness that eats away at your self-worth day by day. Being truly alone, standing on your own 2 feet in a quiet room, that is peace. That is freedom. It gives you the space to breathe, to hear your own thoughts, to remember who you were before someone else convinced you that you were hard to love. Do not be afraid of the empty chair, my sweet child. Be afraid of giving your best, most precious years to someone who doesn't even care if you are sitting in it. You cannot heal in the same environment that is making you sick. You cannot find your worth in the eyes of someone who refuses to look at you. Walking away from someone you love because they do not love you properly is the hardest thing you will ever do, but it is also the most necessary act of survival. Reflection. I want you to take a deep breath right now, and I want you to ask yourself a very hard question. Are you holding on to a ghost? Are you watering a dead plant, hoping it will bloom just because you put so much time, tears, and effort into the soil? I know it hurts. I know the thought of walking away makes your chest tighten and your hands shake. You think about the history, the memories, the time invested. You think about the moments when things were good, and you hold on to those tiny moments like a life raft. But time spent in misery is not an investment, my dear. It is a robbery. It is stealing your joy, your peace, and your future. Every single day you choose to stay where you aren't valued, you are telling the universe that you agree with their poor treatment of you. You are quietly telling yourself that this is all you deserve in this life. But look at me. Look into my old eyes. You deserve the kind of love that feels like sunshine on a crisp morning. You deserve someone who sets down the newspaper, who puts away their phone, who looks across the table and thanks God that you are sitting there. You deserve someone who is absolutely sure about you. And until you find that person, your own company is a beautiful, sacred, and safe place to be. Do not let the fear of being single keep you trapped in a relationship that makes you feel utterly abandoned. So dry your tears, my sweet child. Wash your face. Stand up tall. The hardest step is always the first one out the door, but I promise you with everything I have, the air is so much sweeter on the outside. Reclaim your peace. Embrace the quiet. Let the wrong people go so the right ones can finally find you. And even if the right one doesn't come along right away, learn to hold your own hand. Learn to be your own best friend. Treat yourself with the gentleness and love you have been pouring into empty cups for so long. You are enough, just exactly as you are. You have always been enough, long before they made you question it. Thank you for coming by and sitting with me today. My porch is always open to you. Keep your head up, keep your beautiful heart open, but keep your boundaries strong like a fortress. I love you, and I am so very proud of the person you are becoming. If these words found you exactly when you needed them most, leave a heart in the comments below so I know you stopped by to listen. Share this video with a friend or a loved one who desperately needs a reminder of their worth today. And please, don't forget to subscribe to our little porch community here. We always have an empty rocking chair waiting just for you, and I would love to see you again soon.